The Solana ecosystem has been the hottest ecosystem on planet Earth since the start of this bull run. But which projects are worthy of potentially buying? Well, that's what we're going to find out today by ranking these projects that y'all helped me pick out. And for each one, I'll evaluate both pros and cons in order to reach my final verdict. Starting with the first project, which recently had a massive airdrop. But honestly, it was on my radar even before the airdrop. And what really caught my eye was how people loved to use it. Like, check this out. This is the CEO of Circle saying, quote, "I am super impressed with Jupiter Exchange on Solana. Truly excellent UX and features." And another one, quote, "Tell me this isn't a gorgeous effing product by Jupiter Exchange." So yeah, they got a lot of hype, but while that's good, it's not enough. And we gotta look at other aspects as well. For example, is its product really that great? And what exactly is it anyways? Well, Jupiter started off as an aggregator, which connects traders to all the dexes in the Solana ecosystem. So you can trade on it as if it were a dex, but it doesn't actually have liquidity itself. It just routes your orders to other dexes to get you the best prices. But like I said, that's what it started off as. And now, Jupiter is so much more. Now it offers all sorts of features like limit orders, an on-chain dollar cost averaging feature, and a payments API for other projects to utilize. So it's more like a backend service that connects everything in the Solana ecosystem. Anyhow, in terms of things I really do like their product and user experience. If you go try them out, you can quickly tell how much time they spent on the details, like showing you the latest exchange rates, how your trade is routed, etc. And all this praise isn't just fluff, by the way. You can actually see it in their usage stats. As of January 2024, Jupiter directed 80% of organic volume and 65% of all volume on Solana, which are dominant numbers. But while there's a lot to like, I also have some concerns here. One of them is the fact that their JUP token is only for governance. Their team was super clear that it would only be for governance and that they don't want to hear any complaints about utility or lack thereof. Well, that's totally fair and it's their prerogative, but I don't have to like it. And also, they've faced some notable growing pains lately when traders have experienced low liquidity, failed orders, and high fees on certain products. Now, I do expect those to get better over time, but another thing that concerns me is ironically their massive airdrop. You would think that a generous airdrop is something to be happy about. But on the other hand, it has caused heavy selling pressure as people take profits and rotate their capital elsewhere. I mean, just look at the price chart. Anyhow, those were my likes and dislikes, but since Jupiter is the first one on the list, it only has one place to go, which is number 1. Now, our next project is arguably the best DEX in the entire Solana ecosystem. Its name is Orca, and I actually heard about it a long time ago when it raised funds from some big name VCs. But anyways, what's to like about it? Well, for one, they worked hard to improve during the bear market, and now they're dominating. Orca has over 50% of the DEX trading volume on Solana, and it also has the highest total value locked among non-liquid staking apps. Furthermore, I'm expecting their domination to continue for two main reasons. First is because of the Jupiter project that I just mentioned. Keep in mind that Jupiter acts as an aggregator, so if a lot of people come to use their product, then that automatically brings more volume to the top Solana dexes, i.e. Orca. But my second reason is that Orca ultimately goes as Solana goes. And personally, I expect the Solana ecosystem to boom during this bull market. So that means a lot of new people will come to trade on Orca. But while that's the good stuff, there are some stuff I don't like as well. Like my previous point about how Orca goes as Solana goes. Well, that may actually be a double-edged sword. Because during the next bear market, if the Solana ecosystem suffers as much as it did this time around, then that would mean death for Orca's usage, just like you see in this chart. Not to mention, DeFi is one of Solana's weakest sectors. If you look at Solana's TVL charts, you'll see that it's still near all-time lows when you denominate it in terms of SOL. So that means Solana DeFi is arguably still dead even after our mini bull run. And that's not great for DeFi heavy projects such as Orca. That's why I'm putting them number 2 on our running list right below Jupiter. Now, I said DeFi was one of Solana's weakest sectors, but it also has some strong sectors such as consumer applications or their brand new DePIN sector. DePIN's one of the hottest sectors out there, and it's really found a home in the Solana ecosystem. If you don't know, it stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. And it basically uses crypto to incentivize the creation of real-world infrastructure, be it wireless networks, sensors, or even energy networks. Anyhow, this project is one of the newest projects in that sector, and it's called Helium Mobile. If that sounds familiar, it's because it's part of the Helium network, which you might have heard of before. Helium basically gives people tokens in return for running their hotspots, and by doing so, they've created a decentralized people-powered network. But Mobile is their child project per se, and they're using the same approach of incentivizing people to create the best 5G cellular network out there. Now, in terms of things I like, well, I really like their approach and business model because they aren't actually building out an entire mobile network from scratch. They're running what you'd call a mobile virtual network operator, or MVNO, which rents its infrastructure from T-Mobile. So it's very similar to the Mint Mobile that Ryan Reynolds recently sold for over $1 billion, if you remember that. But anyhow, Helium Mobile's approach is arguably better because they use their people-powered approach to deploy hotspots in places that need better coverage. So theoretically, that makes their service and user experience even better than the base T-Mobile experience. Now, beyond that, they also have this killer flywheel that's led to rocket ship growth so far. They're giving people free tokens for using their cell service, so a lot of people are signing up. In fact, even non-crypto people are signing up because if you do the math, you're essentially getting free cell service if you switch to Helium Mobile. Also, another killer advantage is that Helium Mobile doesn't need to operate any brick and mortar stores. So that saves them a ton of money, and perhaps it's how they can afford to offer their ridiculously low rates of $20 per month. Anyhow, there's a lot to like here, but I also have some dislikes too. Like, the elephant in the room is the question of their flywheel's sustainability. If the price of their token drops a lot in a bear market, then what will happen? Well, they'll likely have to raise their rates, and then depending on what that becomes, their flywheel could potentially grind to a halt. But even beyond that, there's a more fundamental concern about their mobile token. If you look into the details, you can make a strong argument that the long-term value in the system will actually accrue to its parent Helium Network's HNT token instead. So if that turns out to be the case, then it would be a huge reason to prefer HNT over mobile or any of their other sub-networks tokens. Just saying. So yeah, with that in mind, I'm putting this at the new number 2 spot, above Orca but below Jupiter. Now, this next one you're gonna want to pay attention to because it's one of the top AI big data projects out there, and it's also in the Solana ecosystem. It's called Render Network, and it's basically a decentralized network of GPUs that people can use for various things, be it rendering 3D graphics or training AI models. But how does it stack up against the other Solana projects? Well, in terms of things I like, the first one would have to be its narrative. Duh! If you watched my videos before, you'd know that I care a ton about a project's narrative. And you'd also know that I think the AI crypto sector has the strongest narrative of them all. So for Render Network, it's in that sector and hence benefits from that narrative. But unlike the AI crypto affinity scams that I always criticize, Render is more AI adjacent, so it doesn't face those same accusations of being a scam. In fact, they actually have a legit use case that I really like. Not to mention, you can see real usage in their stats, like this chart, which shows their frames rendered continuing to grow even during the bear market. But while that's amazing, I still have some concerns as well. Like, for one, their token has seen quite a bit of supply growth in the past few years, and that's still continuing to this day. So while the token has performed well, it could have done even better without all these tokens entering the circulating supply. And then another concern is whether there's even a strong reason to hold Render for the long haul. Like, most users buy enough Render to do their task, and then that's that. Meanwhile, node operators get paid out in Render tokens, but they likely sell those for USD periodically. So besides speculation, what fundamental reason is there to hold the Render token? Just let me know if I'm missing something here. But either way, another concern is the fact that Render Network has to compete with the centralized giants, like Amazon or Microsoft have their own cloud computing services that can be used to render graphics or do whatever really. So if you're a big company that needs a lot of GPU resources for your task, then you'd probably choose a product offered by a centralized Web2 giant. And that means Render Network will likely end up serving the smaller niche applications that may be more cost conscious. That being said, I'm still gonna put Render at the top of my list, becoming the new number 1. Now, before we get to my next exciting project, I got something for all you traders out there. Okay, so check this out. I'm on Kraken Pro right now, and they give you the ability to make custom layouts for your trading interface, which is super cool. This is my default view when I'm logged in, and right now it's set to simple mode for the layout. It's just a simple order form, a big price chart, and a place to see your orders, trades, etc. Quite simple, just like the name. Next, let's switch to the advanced layout, which has a more detailed order form, and now the order book has appeared as well. But then if you want to go even more crazy, check out this terminal layout, which has an additional depth chart, recent trades, and my own favorite pairs. So that's already quite powerful and useful. But the true power of this feature is that you can literally make your own. Like, check this out. This is one I made for myself, and I added a section to show my portfolio and my overall trading performance as well. You can literally just go here to add a widget and add whatever you want. And then you can resize it, move things around, all to your heart's desire. Here, for example, I added a price alerts widget, which lets me keep track of all the alerts I've set for various coins. This is probably the best price alerts in the entire crypto space because it alerts you on web, your mobile phone if you have the Kraken Pro app, and even your smartwatch. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that, and you can set the alert with a simple mouse click on the price chart. So if you're a trader and you like what you saw, I highly recommend you try out Kraken Pro. Just use my link below. Oh, and this is not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss. Alright, back to Solana projects, and this next one I'm really torn about because on one hand, it has absolutely rocketed lately, and I bet a lot of you'll like it because of that. But on the other hand, they kinda botched their launch, and it looked like they were going to zero before the bull run saved them. Anyways, the project is Neon EVM, and it essentially brings the Ethereum virtual machine to Solana. That means that Ethereum dApps can deploy on Neon in order to access the scalability and liquidity of Solana. So that sounds great, right? It's bringing together the two largest smart contract ecosystems out there. However, I have some serious concerns as well. The first being the team's ability to execute. If you followed along during their token launch, you'd have seen a wave of angry investors on Twitter, angry that they couldn't withdraw from the token sale platform while large amounts of Neon were being moved and sold, dropping the price way below their ICO price. But even if that's not necessarily all on the team, it still shows a lack of public relations and communication skills that is oh so important in the crypto world. I mean, as a result of that fiasco, it left a bitter taste in the mouths of many investors who swore off Neon forever. But then another one of my concerns is that there are massive token unlocks on the horizon. Currently, there's only 5.9% of Neon in circulation, but by May of 2025, this will be a whopping 32%. So I'm worried about all the potential selling pressure that will come from that. And then finally, there's just all the competitors out there. Like Neon has to compete with all the Ethereum layer 2 blockchains out there. Because EVM projects looking for scalability could just deploy on those, right? So all things considered, I'm ranking this at the bottom of our current list at number 5. It's not bad, but I'm personally not as excited about it compared to the other projects out there. Now, in comparison, this next project was love at first sight for me because people were calling it the Chainlink of Solana. And you already know how much I like Chainlink. Anyways, it's called Pyth Network, and you could probably already guess what it does. To be precise, it doesn't do quite as much as Chainlink because Chainlink does almost everything these days, while Pyth is focused on price feed oracles. Like they deliver the latest and most accurate price data of various assets to the dApps and protocols that need it. So this is something I really like about them because they are laser focused on this one particular service, and arguably they do it even better than Chainlink. Their data is updated more frequently and their latency is much lower, which means Pyth is better than Chainlink for use cases like high frequency trading. Another thing I like is that Pyth is multi-chain. I mean, they are mainly Solana ecosystem, but they also support all these other blockchains as well, so that expands their addressable market big time. Now, in terms of my concerns, the first thing is that they're kind of a big fish in a small pond. If you look at the stats, you'll see that Pyth dominates in Solana land, but Chainlink dominates everywhere else. And then more broadly speaking, there's just a lot of competition in this price feed / oracle space. There's Band Protocol, Supra Oracles, and a bunch of others, not to mention Chainlink is like a pseudo monopoly in this sector. That being said, I do think Pyth is a high quality project, which is why I'm putting it number 2 on my running list, just below Render. Now, this next project is another one that's known for a massive recent airdrop. It's called Jito, and they're essentially the Lido Finance of Solana, which means they do liquid staking for Sol. But what's to like about them? Well, for one, their growth and adoption. Check this out, the total amount of Sol staked to Jito is continuing to rise, and their TVL is the second highest across all Solana dApps. So that's amazing. And the fact that Jito lets users earn more money by combining both staking and MEV rewards, well, that could explain why people like them so much. Now, in terms of dislikes, well, 60% of the token supply is allocated to insiders, which is way too high. And then Jito opened at quite the high market cap. So there's a lot less upside. Their fully diluted value is only 1.5 times less than Lido Finance, which is by far the bigger project. But all things considered, I still like them a lot, which is why I'm putting Jito at number 3, under Pyth, but above Jupiter. Now, this next project I just had to include, even though I know some of y'all will hate me for it. And that's Solana's very own doggy coin, Bonk. I'll keep this short, but my bull case for Bonk is that the top meme coins in each ecosystem are usually the ones with long-term staying power. And Bonk is definitely the top dog in the Solana ecosystem. Also, this may surprise you, but the Bonk team is creating quite a bit of utility for the token, which I feel like is secondary for meme coins, but it could drive some demand theoretically. Now, in terms of things I don't like, first is the fact that the team did get a chunk of it, and that could lead to some selling pressure. And also, I'm just not a big fan of meme coins in general, because there's really not that much substance behind them. But yeah, overall, I think its role as a top Solana meme coin is significant, so that alone makes me put it at number 5, under Jupiter, but above Mobile. Well, there you have it, my final ranking of the Solana ecosystem projects. But what I want to know is, do you agree with my rankings? Or would you move some things around? Let us all know in the comments below. Next up, I'm going to rank Polkadot ecosystem projects, and you can bet that there will be some gems that you haven't heard of before. So subscribe to catch that, and don't forget to use my link below to try out Kraken Pro.